First article is regarding the clean judiciary. There is, Allahabad High Court judge against whom the impeachment process is to be started. So basically, the issue was that this Allahabad High Court judge, he has kind of restrained the Supreme Court order. The We'll see in the article. Let's just move on. The thing is that the article is saying that the judge of the Allahabad High Court, he has been alleged that he has committed judicial impropriety, means he has done something which is improper according to the judicial protocol or judicial rules, and it's serious enough to warrant his removal. And this kind of behavior is definitely very serious to initiate the process of his removal. The subject of corruption in the higher judiciary is in the news, and we have seen that the last four judges, they came out in public and held, and they addressed a press conference. So the issue regarding corruption in judiciary and some sort of misadministration in judiciary is definitely in the limelight. And on the top of it, now this issue is also there. So the issue is that this Justice Shri Narayan Shukla of the Allahabad High Court, he's a judge in Allahabad High Court, he had come under adverse notice before a Supreme Court bench headed by the Chief Justice of India last year. See, what this bench has found, that he violated a restraining order from the Apex Court by allowing the GCRG Memorial Trust Lucknow to admit students. The case was that the bench headed by the Supreme Court judge, fine, they had basically this banned GCRJ Memorial Trust from admitting any new students. Okay, but the Allahabad High Court judge against whom the entire removal process is to be started, he basically restrained that order, and he allowed GCRG Memorial Trust to admit new students. So definitely it's a kind of you are violating your apex code orders, fine. So the thing is that he had violated judicial propriety. Okay, now, so after this, when the case it came to notice, so the CGI, he formed a three-member committee. Okay, he formed a three-member committee, which is an in-house committee. Now we don't have to look at who were the members of these committees. Now what this committee find, the committee has now found substance in the allegations. The committee found that yes, there was certain reality in the allegations, and the judge had deviated from the values of judicial life. Okay, so there was certain deviation from the judicial life which was noticed by this committee. So, and it's very unfortunate because what happens that when these kind of allegations are there against any judge, and when that judge is actually involved in some sort of malpractice, then what they do, they tend to either resign, or they tend to sort retirement. But because judicial removal and this entire process of impeachment is it will be a big blot on his entire career in life, fine. But just this Justice Shukla didn't opted for any of these two options. Okay, so his position but so whatever he is on his position, he has not opted any of these options. So this paved the way for the CGI to recommend his removal. Now the issue is that, see, we have already seen that how the four judges, they came into public, and with respect to the Prasad Trust case which was in Lucknow, and with that case was headed by our CGI, Deepak Mishra, fine. So there were also allegations on the Chief Justice of India that he is basically allotting the cases just based on his individual preferences. And so these kind of allegations are there on the judiciary right now. And the climatic event was the unprecedented press conference I told earlier. So a kind of turmoil is going within the judiciary right now. Okay, so the thing is that the charges against Justice Shukla are properly investigated now, because the committee has come to a certain conclusion, and the committee find that Justice Shukla was involved in all these allegations. So the thing is that it's the high time, and we can say that this kind of initiation for the removal process of a judge is indeed a good start. However, it's saddening that a judge of such a higher authority, I mean, High Court is involved in these kind of things, but it's very important to crack down such cases within the judiciary, because the entire institution of judiciary right now is at stake. Okay, so it may have a sobering effect on those who desire that institution be cleansed. So obviously those who want that judiciary as an institution should be cleansed, by by from all such people and from different sorts of corruption going on. So obviously they'll be more relaxed right now, because they'll be relaxed that okay, fine, something is going on there, and our CGI is trying to extract out these people. So the process of removing a judge is too, but the thing is that we know that this entire process of a removal of a judge is too elaborate, okay, and somewhat cumbersome. We need two-third, special majority is required for the removal of the judge. Okay, two-third majority of the members present and voting is required. So it's definitely a difficult task. However, because an in-house finding has already been done by this in-house committee, so the writer, he hopes that this matter would not be suppressed by any partisan issue, means there should not be any political interference within this issue regarding the removal. And this internal mechanisms, it work with due regard for institutional integrity, something that should be welcomed. So the writer is saying that there should be no political interference with respect to this, and we should respect this institutional integrity of judiciary, that they're, taking out such initiatives. So it is a thing which needs to be and which should be welcomed. Okay. Second article is regarding the utility of Aadhaar. Basically, this article, if you want to know the pros, so you can just extract certain points from this article. Okay, it's not criticizing Aadhaar, it's rather it's applauding it. Anyways, see, the writer is basically comparing the kind of this whole kind of I should say we are highlighting more the cons of Aadhaar. We are somewhat criticizing Aadhaar, and this writer is comparing the social security number. It was basically a kind of scheme which was very much similar to our Aadhaar. And in that social security number in United States, basically a number kind of was given to the people based on their information, personal information, and it was for the social security measures. And the writer is saying that when that scheme in 1935, it for the first time came in USA, so this scheme was very much criticized by the people and by the opposition. But later on, in after some years, what happens that this scheme in US, social security and its counterpart Medicare, they became the only safety nets for a majority of America's elderly. Okay, the scheme which was, people were, it was quite new, it was quite radical, and people were not ready to accept. That scheme became the ultimate and the only safety net for majority of the elderly people. So similarly, the writer is comparing that in this way only we are, criticizing Aadhaar. We are saying that it's violating our, right to privacy and all. But we can somehow make comparisons that ultimately a day will come when people will realize that what its benefits are. But that because and important thing is that here, see, the writer regarding that social security of US is saying that it continues to be the backbone of citizen interactions with the government. Okay, and for the simple reason that no one has come up with a better alternative. The thing is that earlier regarding social security number, people used to criticize it. Okay, but ultimately it was the only, channel of interaction between the people and the government. And the party and the people who were criticizing it, they were criticizing it, but they were not giving any sort of solution or alternative to it. Okay, so the thing is this, and he's saying that 83 years later, okay, now in India we are also having that kind of thing, Aadhaar we are having, and arguments are also made against it. Okay, and people are saying this Aadhaar as giant electronic mesh. It's a kind of mesh that will somehow, trap the people, and it's a state's machinery to have a surveillance on the people, and it will turn the country into a surveillance state. So these are somewhat allegations against the Aadhaar. But with on comparing the social security number scheme of US with Aadhaar, the writer is saying that there is one important difference, that in US the opposition of that social security was from the right wing ideology, because they were treating is at the harbinger of socialism, that now the socialism will come because government is trying to enter the public domain, government is trying to enter the lives of people, which is definitely somewhat related to the ideology of communist government. Okay, communism, they try to hold, means what happens in communism, even the the aspects of human life, they are also controlled by the government. Communism may it happens. Okay, so that's why the right wing ideology people, they criticize the social security number in US. But in contrast to this opposition by right wing ideologies in US, what we are seeing in India, that it's the left ideology people here in India who are criticizing this Aadhaar. Okay, see, uh, because left people, they are well known for advocating more and more government in people's lives, as I told you right now, that what is the main funda of communist government, every human aspect is controlled by them mostly. But the same left people who propose this public distribution system, then we have rural employment guarantee program and so on, they are now arguing in the same breath for the citizens right to be left alone. See, they are talking in the way the this individualist they talk. Okay, in the form of right wing people. So this is in contrast to the USA social security number. There were right wing opposition, but here we are having the left wing opposition. Okay, another thing in that, in this okay, see, we have, it has been the loudest voices against mismanagement of welfare schemes in the past. They appear a bit hypocritical when they now suggest that everything was working just fine until Aadhaar came into force. And very interesting thing, he is saying that earlier these people who are right now criticizing Aadhaar, okay, they used to say that there is a lot of mismanagement in the this public welfare schemes and social security measures. But when the government came up with an innovative idea like Aadhaar, these same people, they are saying that everything was fine just before the Aadhaar. Okay, so it is basically they are contradicting their own their own arguments. So the thing is this, now see, with respect to Aadhaar, the entire debate is with respect to this biometric difference, because Aadhaar is having not only your identity information but biometric information as well. Okay, and this is the only difference between the social security number scheme of US and an Aadhaar. Okay, because the people who are opponents of Aadhaar, they are saying that unlike other personal information which is in public sphere, okay, one, if suppose that information is leaked, one can change those particulars. Okay, but one can't change our fingerprints if by chance the biometric information is leaked. Okay, so the thing is that which our Supreme Court has also observed, that many of the websites, search engines like Google, and this social media, they have very critical information of us. Okay, the personal information and some sort of information which will, if come into public, then it will be altogether it will be so disastrous for an individual. Okay, so the thing is that we never try to delete those informations. Okay, so why the recus is on this biometric information? The writer is saying, it's not my views, the writer is saying so. Besides, none of the examples of Aadhaar data breaches that have been reported, which we should all the rightly concerned about, they didn't involve any sort of leakage of fingerprints or iris scans. Means that, okay, accepted that there may be leakages, the leakages have been there of identity information, but none of the case about leakages of biometric information has been there. Okay, so the argument that yeah, that biometrics somehow make a more compelling case against Aadhaar simply does not hold. So the lone argument on which the opponents are putting their arguments, that because the biometric information can be leaked, so this is not working here, because we have proved that this kind of information, this type of information is already at the public platform. And second thing is that up till now no such biometric information leakage has been there. Okay, in fact he's saying that this biometric information only will bring credibility to the entire system of Aadhaar as a national ID, because it's only on the basis of this biometric information that we can distinguish people, and we can exclude the fake people and include the right beneficiaries. Okay, so where does all this leave us? The thing is that we are having this privacy debate. The people who are having privacy debate and saying that Aadhaar is violating the right to privacy, they have not offered a single viable alternative to better administer the nation's massive subsidy regime. Means if you are opposing something that this should not be there, then you should have an alternative, that if this is not there, then what should be there. So the writer is saying that these people are not offering any sort of alternative against Aadhaar, but they are just doing the privacy debate. Okay, talks and talks, no action. And okay, hold on a second. Yeah, so this is the writer's argument regarding this biometric difference. So the best use of a scheme. Okay, see, this yeah, the Aadhaar, it can act as a how, means how we can have the best use of this scheme. This single national ID. Aadhaar can act as a single national ID, effectively administrating welfare schemes, and which has been much more internally unified. Okay, next he writer is saying that apart from that we are having UIDAI, okay, which has consistently shown its seriousness in addressing data security and privacy issues, and poised to add more layers of security, that means the virtual Aadhaar. See, the writer is saying that please give some time to this UDI. Okay, let it breathe, because it is, it is showing its seriousness regarding the protection of people's information, and trying to address out what are the security and privacy concerns of the people are. In fact, this UIDAI has come up with another, this virtual Aadhaar ID. Okay, virtual Aadhaar ID case, in which you need not to give your original ID, your virtual Aadhaar IDs will be acceptable. And if in fact UIDAI is also trying to draft a national data privacy law, but which unfortunately unable to match the nimbleness of the opposition. The thing is that writer is saying that although UIDAI is trying its best efforts, okay, but it's not able to match the pace of the opponent's rejection towards Aadhaar. So people are not, an opponent are not giving enough time to UIDAI to come out with a national this data service law. Okay, so this is the game, and he's saying that it's not a zero sum choice game. Zero sum choice means either Aadhaar wins or the privacy wins. It's not like that. Okay, we have to balance it out. It's not a debate between privacy and Aadhaar, that if Aadhaar will be there, then there will be no privacy. And if privacy has to be there, then there will be no Aadhaar. It's not a zero sum game. Okay, it's not a zero sum choice. So the Supreme Court should consider, because the matter is right now in Supreme Court, so the Supreme Court should consider all these aspects. Okay, because if Aadhaar is taken back, then it would pose a huge setback for administrative reforms. And instead, the justices will hopefully focus their deliberations on where the nation should draw the line between personal privacy and national interest. Okay, means there should be a thin line, ki what is the boundary, what is the limit of privacy, and what is the limit of national interest. So the writer is suggesting this. And apart from that, this Aadhaar, okay, it can not only act as a tool to provide subsidies and social security measures, but it can act as a tool to prevent money laundering and terrorism as well. Okay, and the government should quickly enact a comprehensive data privacy law which enshrines internationally accepted principles of privacy. And the writer is suggesting that government should come out with a national data security, this privacy law, which should be in consonance with the international standards, and which should basically, because if the government is chalking out such a policy, then people and the citizens of India, they'll be having an insurance kind of thing, that okay, even if there is some sort of the leakages, or even if the state try to act as a surveillance state, then we are having a national data privacy policy, and according to which our security, our identity, and our information will be protected. Okay, so that's why the writer is suggesting government to pace up the speed of enacting this national data privacy law. So this was a whole idea about it, what pros you can write in your answer with respect to Aadhaar. Okay, now this article is regarding interstate river water dispute, and this article is suggesting that we need to evolve a credible and institutionalized practices to resolve the interstate river disputes, and we should just abort all the ad hoc mechanisms which we are try to do in solving the interstate river water disputes. So the context is the Mahanadi river water dispute, and it's between Odisha and Chhattisgarh. Okay, so the issue is that according to the present river water dispute, interstate river water dispute act of 1956, if a state is having some sort of interstate water problem, then they have to approach to the central government, and then central government needs to check out that whether some sort of negotiations can take place, and this should be done within a period of 1 year. If no such negotiations can take place, then center has to set up a tribunal to sort out that issue, to sort out the interstate river water dispute. But in this case, Odisha government, when it approached to central government, year has basically it's over now, but central government has not appointed, it has not established any tribunal for it. So the issue is that Odisha government then approached Supreme Court, and Supreme Court directed central government. I mean, it kind of asks clarification on this issue. So center said that means negotiations can be possible. Okay, political negotiations or mediation can be possible between Odisha government and the Chhattisgarh government, but Odisha government is not ready to take any of this political negotiation route, and Odisha however insisted on a legal route. Fine. See, so this shows that it's high time that we should invest in right, credible, and institutionalized practices for enabling interstate mediation, coordination, and cooperation. That before setting up of the tribunal, we have a mediation process. So this mediation process should also be institutionalized. Okay, it should not be in a ad hoc manner. There should be some sort of expertise within this mediation process as well. And so the writer is suggesting, the means the core of the article is this, that within the mediation process also we need to have certain sort of coordination, certain sort of institutionalization. Okay. Now, political rationalities. The thing is that the state's escalation of the dispute for pursuing their respective interest is legitimate. That it's legitimate. See, interstate river water disputes are on increase because comparatively, if we compare the number of states which we were having at the time of independence and the states we're having right now, so the number of states has increased. So obviously most of the rivers, they are now interstate rivers. And second thing is that we know that we, because of climate change and all these things, water is, it's in crisis. Water security is also in crisis, and agriculture is also in distress. So farmers, they need water, they need irrigation to irrigate their fields. Okay, so water is a necessity. This is, undoubtedly, this cannot be altogether ignored. And interstate river water dispute are definitely, they are going to increase if we are not going to have any sort of institutionalized, mechanism for cooperation and all. But in this case, we respect that, okay, these two states are having their respective interests, but there are also political rationalities and political objectives are also here. So the first is political opportunism can be seen here, because we see that the parties in power in both the states are having their elections. Okay, the BJP in Chhattisgarh, and BJP in Chhattisgarh is having his election in 2018, and the Biju Janata Dal in Odisha is having its election in 2019. So if they, and these, both these parties, BJP and Biju Janata Dal, in the respective states, they are there for a long time. So obviously they want to survive that anti-incumbency. Okay, they want to retain their seat. Okay, they want to retain their power. So obviously, in order to mobilize people, they need fresh ground. Okay, and this fresh ground is this Mahanadi river water dispute. Okay, this is an opportunity for them. The governments cannot afford, because see, the government cannot afford to see as to be seen as compromising their respective states' interest. Because if Odisha government have gone into this negotiation with the this BJP government in Chhattisgarh, then the people would have seen that our state government has compromised our needs, our interest, and have gone into a negotiation. And right now, the governments, in fact, in both these states, cannot afford to do so. Okay, considering the elections are on hand. So, and on the other hand, if they go into some sort of, compromising compromisation of the interest, then opposition will also have the opportunity to point fingers on the government. So this is the political opportunism which can be seen here. And the second is the political subjectivity of the contemporary Indian state. See, I mean this entire mediation process in this current interstate river water dispute act, it's outdated, because when in 1956 we opted for this mediation process before the setting up of the tribunal, at that time we were having, one party dominant system. The party at the center and the party in the states, they were both the same. So definitely, and most of the states, they were under Congress, except few, like Kerala, which were having communist government. So it was very easy, for the states to negotiate. Okay, but right now, the party dynamism, the party politics is altogether different. We are in a multi-party politics, okay, where we have very strong hold of the regional parties in their states. Okay, so the kind of center state engagement that was used to be in 1956 era, it is not right now. Okay, the center state engagement has turned politically subjective with polarized and assertive regional powers. So obviously, the Biju Janata Dal, which is in Odisha, how can it trust, this BJP government of Chhattisgarh, considering the fact that at the center also we are having the BJP ruled, BJP ruled government. So this is the political subjectivity which is going on in this matter. So this political opportunism and the political subjectivity which we are seeing in this Mahanadi river water dispute, and because of which these, I mean, Odisha government has not accepted this mediation process as the route. Instead, they focused on the legal route and I mean, emphasized on setting up a tribunal. So this all, it shows that it's, high time that we need to have a secure, credible mediation practices, okay, where we can have neutrality and objectivity as well. There should be no political subjectivity, that whether the, I mean, if the central government and state government both are same, if the center and the state government both are different, these situations create political subjectivity. So this is the issue. Next is interstate cooperation. Okay, see, interstate river water governance is a classic case of collision between central and state powers. And the thing is that definitely more tribunals are going to come, because the interstate river water dispute, if we go by this process, if we continue to remain in this way, then definitely these disputes are going to increase. So the important thing here is that this Act of 1956 for resolving disputes, it has been amended several times, okay, since its inception. But the Board Act, see, in this Interstate River Dispute Act, there was a provision also that there would be this establishment of a River Board Act, okay, which will basically try to have collaborations, try to have views from the different states on that interstate river. It's more sort of a cooperation mechanism, this River Board Act. So it was also drafted simultaneously for interstate collaboration. It has not even amended even once since then. Forget about amendment, it's not even active right now, okay, it's not even active. So the see, so up till now we are focusing more on the resolution of the interstate river dispute. We are more onto the side of resolution of the dispute instead on the side of cooperation, okay. And how can we have side of cooperation, how can we focus more on cooperation? By having this River Board Act, okay, by focusing on this. So the practices need to be structured within the constitutional realm. For example, uh, earlier in this article we were saying that we need to have some sort of mediation process which can be institutionalized, and that process should be neutral, that process should be objective, okay, so that both the parties, they can accept it, okay. So for example, we can utilize this interstate council for the mediation practices, okay, because interstate council, say, it has been created by constitution just for the state coordinations and cooperation. So what better platform we can get for initiating this mediation process? If interstate council would have been a platform of negotiation, then I don't think, I mean, writer do not think that this Odisha government would have any issue, because the issue right now is that the center and the state ruling party are same, okay. So definitely Odisha government is in fear that its interest, the interest of its people would be at stake. So it's a very good suggestions. We can obviously quote an answer that interstate council can also be used for mediation process, okay. And it's high time that we should also revisit the River Board Act according to the present scenario, according to the present context. A ecosystem, basically an ecosystem has to be created for this interstate dialogue, for collaboration, okay. So this was the whole idea of interstate, this article regarding interstate river dispute. Thank you.